So today's guest on the Silly Little Girls Club podcast is Chloe Swift. Chloe is an incredible content creator who has amassed a huge following across all of her social platforms where she shares incredible hair advice, hair tips and tutorials. And we're going to have all of the insights on her journey, her advice, and I cannot wait for this conversation. Chloe, welcome to the Silly Little Girls Club.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. Full disclosure, this is the first episode. So this is the first one we're recording, and we're going to go with it and see. But I'm super excited to have you on. I feel for me, it's really nice to have a guest that I really love watching your career grow and flourish. I feel we first met when you worked at GHD, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And when was that?
I want to say, so I started full-time at GHD 2020, but we might have met before that. I was freelance before that. So maybe 2017 maybe could have been the earliest.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just seeing you go from grinding it at a 9 to 5 to now flourishing and living your best life doing your own content creating, it's super inspiring. And that's one reason I really wanted to get you on as a guest and to, share with people what that's like. I don't know if you get it where people just think, oh, it just kind of happened, but that's not the case for you, is it?
No, definitely. And I think you hear a lot of people say that now, and it seems like people have just you might click on their profile or whatever social platform, and you're like, oh my God, how did they get there? And with some people, it does seem like there's a lot of overnight successes nowadays. But as with anything, it's you're working on whatever it is you're working on, that would have been going on behind the scenes for years. Mm-hmm. And especially in my case, it's just been working at it for years. So I first started doing video content in 2018. I started doing my own video content, and before that, I did have a little blog post. I'm sure everyone started out with a blog post.
Yeah, we all loved a blog. That was such a 2015 kind of blog era, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I had a little blog post first, and then eventually I was like, no, I do just need to put myself on and doing videos. And you know me, I'm not, I would definitely not say I'm a shy person at all, but even to put yourself out there and start, oh my God, you hold yourself back so much for whatever reason that is. And it was honestly my boyfriend, and it's so funny because he says it now to me all the time. He's like, you can thank me. He was the one who was literally like, you need to do it. I don't know why you're not starting it, but it's so hard to overcome that obstacle and start.
Well, you get in your own way. And I feel like that is something that we do as women a lot. We overthink, and I think we opening yourself up to criticism online is terrifying.
Yeah.
Do you find that you get a lot of that, or is your community online quite nurturing and nice, or do you get stuff? Because platforms are so different.
Yeah.
I think when you post on YouTube, my God, people come out of the woodwork and you're like, are you all right?
Do you know I do get asked that question a lot because unfortunately sometimes it can be a not nice place for certain people, but I'm quite lucky in the way that, and also I'm quite aware, mine's quite detached from, I say, I put hairstyling content out there.
Yeah.
I style my hair, I show some hairstyles. It's not that controversial.
Yeah.
And I think what's the worst that someone could say is, I don't like that curl. So I think I'm quite lucky in that way. I don't overshare anything.
Yeah.
And it is just hairstyles. And and I guess people are always going to have their own opinion, whether they like something, whether they don't. But luckily, I would definitely not say I have any hate on my platforms, which is great because it is just hair. And I think if people do have any hate towards hair, it's like you've got something deep going on there. You're taking
if you've got an issue with a curl, you need help, basically.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now your platform is growing and your audience is expanding, that you want to share more stuff, or are you kind of really happy with that, your niche and stuff like that? Or do you feel like adding in more elements of lifestyle content? Because I do see you doing more spend the day with me, come with me to places and stuff like that. Is that something that you've kind of brought in now as it's growing?
Yeah, I like to introduce a few different aspects and elements. I think I'm really at this point at the moment, and this is why I love social media. You are constantly changing, adapting, learning. You can't be doing the same thing all the time. So I'm really in a place at the moment where I am looking, and I guess we'll go on to that and go into kind of the side that people don't see. We'll go into that later. But I, for example, have really gone into like the posts that perform really well, all of this thing. I'm quite analytical with it because you have to be when it's a business at the end of the day. So the content I put out there, I do just try and do that. I'm very much aware people follow me for the hair content.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of knowing where I can place some other little bits. So stories, for example, people love to see more personal side of things on stories.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be a lot more active on stories.
Yeah. Really interesting what resonates with people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
you build like this sort of community. Like it's similar with what I do. Like the hair stuff always does really well. As soon as I put Greg on the Instagram, people love it. That's the best performing content. And I know I'm not filming you all the time.
Funny thing is, I know exactly what you mean because even for your Greg videos, I will always like them, comment them. It just like my algorithm just serves them to me. It'll be like at the top of my page, for example.
Like Greg to start.
Yeah, I mean, Greg's now the algorithm.
I feel like there's a lot of chat around algorithm actually, and I think that's something really to pick up on because like it is like smoke and mirrors almost, isn't it? Like what? Because I know you've had some like really standout viral moments on your page that really just sort of like all that consistency and plugging away. Like that is what you have to do. And then all of a sudden you get a video come along, and for no rhyme or reason, it's just like poof. Not because it's like wildly different to anything that you've already been posting.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it in your opinion that you think makes those videos, those standout videos, just go like viral?
I think the main thing for me, I've noticed with my ones, it's having something that keeps that viewer watching right to the end.
Yeah.
So then you've got your video will always do really well if it's got like a replay rate. So if someone's watched all the way to the end, and even if it just kind of accidentally rolls into replaying again, that does really well for the algorithm. So it's like it's kind of telling. Let's just take Instagram, for example. Even though all the different platforms have their own algorithms, their own way they work, but Instagram, for example, will tell Instagram that's doing really well because that person's watched it again.
Yeah.
So my I guess for those who aren't familiar with my content, I do a lot of hairstyling and hairstyling techniques, and I'll quite usually do 3 techniques in one.
Yeah.
But instantly, when you start watching that first one, there's something in your brain and you're like, I can't scroll past until I've seen that third technique and it's been done. So I think that's kind of the formula that I kind of just stumbled upon. I trialed it and it worked well. So I do kind of keep repeating that kind of style of content. But like you say, that's the main thing I've noticed. I definitely don't think you can rely on music, anything like that.
I feel like that is, again, another thing. It always says, who's the ones that are like, trending but under 7,000 plays? And you do that and you're like, this is fallen flat. Like it's
honestly
so frustrating.
I think all of that is complete rubbish because I got really fed up. I think it was definitely like a year ago, 18 months ago, I was like, everyone is using the same songs. I just hated scrolling on there. I was like, it's boring.
It's the same bit of the same song again and again.
Yeah, so now literally what I do, I will scroll my Spotify, I pick a song I really like. I'm probably listening to it like in my headphones at the moment. So then I feel like it resonated with that video like as I'm editing it.
Yeah.
I pair it with that. It's not any viral video, and it just literally goes to prove it. The song does not matter.
That's so interesting.
It's the content itself that matters.
And I think like I love what you do in adding. I feel like every piece of content you put out there gives value. Like
that's my main thing.
Yeah,
I want to do.
Yeah, people get a real takeaway from it, and it's like, oh, I feel like I actually I'm learning things. Like it's really interesting, and I suppose, coming from a hair background, it was a natural evolution for you to go into doing hair content.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How did you get started in hair? Like, because were you a hairdresser or is it like, an educator? What? Because I actually don't know this.
Yeah, so I started hair. So I worked in a salon. Yeah, at a very young age, as most of us do. So my mum dropped me off outside a salon. She was like, get a job there. So I was 15 when I first started working in the salon. And at the time, I very much thought it was just like going to be a part-time job. I enjoyed earning money. And I still thought I was going to go to uni. And like, it's so funny because everything honestly has come so full circle. I was such a creative person. And I thought if I was going to uni, I was going to do something like journalism. I loved media. I loved all of that kind of thing. So I didn't quite know what it was going to be.
Yeah.
But within that field. And it was my mum who honestly persuaded me she was like, look, you're working in a salon at the moment. You're earning good money. This is a more viable career
than go to uni and stuff.
Yeah. And like, in terms of taking on student debt and things like that. And I guess at the time, but I mean, God, you're 15, 16. Who knows what they want to do at that age? Like, no one does.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm doing all this stuff and I don't know what I'm doing.
No one knows what they want to do, but I guess my parents maybe heard creative and like she wants to go. And I don't know. They were like, is that worth taking out all of this student debt over that? And they were like, a quote that stuck with me for life, and it always will be. It's like, when you are a hairstylist and you've got that skill, you will never be out of money.
True.
And it is so true, because I even look at what I'm doing now and I'm like, if everything all goes tits up, I'm not doing at all. I'm not online. I'm not doing any of this kind of media stuff. I can still be doing clients and still earning money. And like, that's what it's a craft.
Yeah.
And it's a skill.
It's so, honestly, I think, I mean, that's something that really, there's that stigma around being a hairdresser. It's like, oh, you're just a hairdresser or what. And it is so, it cuts me really deep when I hear that, because, there's like a huge problem at the minute as well. I don't know how aware you are of it, but like, example, stat that, don't quote me exactly, but it's very similar to this. I think by the end of 2021, there was about 8,000 people completing an MVQ and in hairdressing. And this last year, it's down to 1,500, which is insane. Yeah. So there's a huge issue in getting like people to come into hairdressing. And I just don't know what the disconnect there is, because, me and you on this side of it, if you get that trade, you are set. You can, like you say, do hair in a salon. You can open a salon. You can be freelance. You can go down a content creating route. Like, it is limitless, from teaching to travel, and it's such an amazing, viable career. But why does it have this stigma? Like, I just don't understand.
It's so frustrating, because, I think then when I did kind of say to my teachers at school, you kind of have that conversation, don't they want to know what everyone's doing, and eventually, and my mum managed to persuade me. I think, to be honest, she just wants her hair doing every 5 weeks, which I still do. I think that was her ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, she managed to persuade me to not go to unis, like just start working. And I started straight away from that. So, but I told my teachers, and honestly, their reaction, they were like so shocked. They were like, but you, and it was that kind of reaction. It's like they had in their head a certain kind of person only went and did hair and beauty. And again, like another really good quote that's always stuck with me, and what like I always remember someone said to me was, well, you might be a hairdresser, and like that's what people wrongly have this misconception of hairdressers. But they said, but you might be the most intelligent hairdresser, and very similar to what you do. Yeah. We've got that skill and that craft, but we have got that business.
You have that business acumen.
Yeah, acumen around it.
Yeah, and like if you've got that and the trade, like you're unstoppable, really. Yeah, and I think if not that it will, but saying like things you get fed up or doing content creating, or that just is an avenue that you then don't enjoy, you're never limited. No, like it's actually amazing.
And it's like you could just because you've got this amazing skill set of doing hair, that does not stop you from branching out and getting or upskilling yourself in all these other areas. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what I've done, what you've done. So that's how I then brought the media into it. Yeah. All this thing, all these creative side of it that I loved anyway. So I learned so much about lighting. I went on a media and television makeup course. I'm also a qualified makeup artist, but oh God, like I don't do anyone's makeup.
No, I'm
like, there. No, yeah, absolutely. Because that's the thing. It's like you can definitely upskill yourself, and I think add as many strings to your bow as possible. But I'm still very much of the opinion you can't be an expert in everything.
No, you have trades.
Yeah,
none.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm so big, and especially on social media, you've got to niche down.
Yeah. I feel like having a niche is like people. When I say that to people, I feel like they just think, yeah, whatever. But that's how I built Samantha Cruise at London, was with a niche. Balayage and beach waves was massive in like 2015 when I started doing it. And, that was all I posted, was just balayage, just beach waves. And that's what catapulted it, and that's what built a brand. And now, obviously, we do everything as well. But that is still our bread and butter. And that's what performs the most. That's what our clients know us for. That's what they come for. And all of that stuff was it was niching down and finding what I, A, loved doing, and B, what resonated with people. And it's the power of a niche is wild, like genuinely. And I think, more people need to realise that. And there's nothing wrong with having a niche. I remember someone So before I opened the salon, and I was working in the salon before I opened Samantha Cusick London. And I don't know if it's jealousy or whatever it is, because my social platforms were growing, and that meant that I was booked and busy in the salons. They call me a one-trick pony. And I was like,
so bad.
It's a niche.
Yeah.
It's a niche. It's not a one-trick pony.
But that's it. Do you know what? I revel and I really enjoy it when people maybe have these certain opinions, and I'm like, you are quite small-minded to think that, but I quite enjoy letting people think these things, and like, you're doing all these other things behind the scenes, and it's like, I kind of have this little truck. I'm like, you have no idea. I kind of
no idea.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really prevalent, because this is how silly little girls came along. Like, you know, that that letting agent, when I wanted the first shop, he totally underestimated me. Like, absolutely did not believe in what I was doing, because at the time I opened the salon because Instagram had got massive, and like my leads were generating my clients for me, and then obviously the salon I was working at were benefiting from that, and I was like, they weren't supporting me. That's a whole story for another day. But anyhow, that kind of like, you know, that underestimating me fueled me. He called me a silly little girl to my face, like, and
so bad,
so bad, and that fueled me. They put this silly covenant in my lease where I had to make 3 consecutive years double the rent to be able to get, because they charged me a double deposit. So instead of a £10,000 deposit, which was for the lease, they made me pay 20, and I had to do in 3 years, consecutive years, I think it was 2 or 3 times the lease amount, to be able to get that back, and that fed me. And I was like, right, I'm
but
did
that scare you?
No, because I knew.
No, that's
like, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
I know, talking to you when you're into your analytics and stuff like that, and you know, like, I don't do something unless I'm prepared for it. So I'm like making sure I plan.
Yeah.
And so I'd done my numbers. I knew what money I was making as a stylist, and I could support the lease and the expense of everything of taking on that salon. So it didn't scare me. It just really pissed me off.
Yeah.
That they doubted me. And you just think, why? Like, just let me get on with it, because worst comes to the worst, you're going to get to keep my deposit.
Yeah.
Like, why pass opinion?
But you know, also, I come across this a lot in situations, and it's like people might doubt you, or might, I don't know, just have an opinion on you. And especially, take with that letting agent, for example, and he openly said to your face, silly little girls. And I always just think in the back of my mind, you might have all these opinions of me, but at least I am switched on enough to have social skills, and I would never speak to someone like that, or say like a negative comment to someone's face out loud.
No, it's bizarre.
But how I come across so many people, and I'm like, you were quite clearly never taught social skills.
No, and just have no like awareness.
Yeah, 100%.
At the time I was 27?
No.
And so it's a big thing to start a business as a 27-year-old. Like, I'd got everything in it. I'd managed to get like Greg's parents to loan me some money and stuff to start it. So there was a lot riding on it. And then for somebody to outwardly doubt you, especially someone that's a bit older, you know, and they have like a position of power. And so for them to say that and make you feel like so small, it could come one of two ways. I'm just grateful that I took it and let it feed me, rather than letting it, you know, get me down, but
that's what I mean. Yeah, because that, when I said, did that scare you, I potentially kind of 60% out of the 40% out of the 100% who were asked, who were kind of spoke to like that, it might have like completely scared like 60% of women off in that scenario.
100%.
And not many people would have taken it like, you know what, I'm going to take that, run with it, it's going to like fuel me.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have to do. Like, it really is important to do that. And that extends, like, you know, putting yourself out there on social, like with what you do. Like, that, taking that leap and worrying about what are my friends going to say when they start seeing me post these videos, and like, you know, getting started. It's like, oh my God, I actually stopped for a long time posting my content on my Facebook page, because that was like friends and family and stuff like that. Because I was worried about what they'd think. And now I couldn't care less. I'm just like, yeah, have it. Here you go. Here's how you do a slick ponytail. You need to know.
Yeah.
But it's
Sandra, you need to know.
Yeah, you need to know, because whatever that product you're using, it's giving crispy. Like, it's, you know, it's. But for a long time, that kind of held me back a little bit. And it's like,
yeah, I think it does with everyone. And I think it's so sad that we do think that. And but this is what I think, like you said, everyone at the start is going to be people you know on your Instagram and Facebook, whatever the platform. It's going to be friends, work colleagues, family. And it's like, but if you do care what they think, or if they have a bad opinion, I mean, it's just quite clear.
Then problem.
Yeah, it's just quite clear they probably just don't belong in your life. And like,
Yeah.
The one thing I've definitely noticed with myself over the last couple of years is like I've evolved so much, just even as a person. And I think things like that happen, I'm just like, sometimes you are connected with people with, like I said, old colleagues or even sometimes family, and you're like, we're actually just not on the same page, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And
it's okay.
sometimes the strangers end up becoming, and your followers end up becoming like better friends or better supporters, definitely.
Yeah.
Than actual friends and family.
You have like standout people on your platform that are always there championing you, and it's like you kind of have Instagram friends. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So weird.
Yeah, and I love it. I love when you get a comment and it's like you recognize the username, and it's like they've gone out of their way to comment a few times. And I love it, because it's like, I can't believe you have gone out of your way, because someone is really going out of their way to leave a comment, and especially on my YouTube comments, especially. Because I feel like Instagram is quite a quick comment, TikTok is quite a quick comment. It's like a little one-liner. But YouTube, God, people leave really long and lengthy things. And I always feel like so touched, like that people feel they want to spend 2 minutes to do that, and compelled to do that. And it's always, it kind of shoe on the other foot. It always makes me think, if I watch something and I really enjoy it, and especially if I've taken value away from it, I'm always going to leave a comment, because it's like someone's gone out of their way to create this video, and like 90% of your videos are just purely organic. You're not getting paid for it. It's just value and things you want to share and put out there. So
it's nice to give back in that way. Like it really makes a big difference. And it's like, it extends, like, you know, small business owners. I know how important a Google review is.
Yeah.
And like, I will go out my way to leave a Google review, and I won't leave a negative one. If I have a bad experience somewhere, I will email them. Yeah. Like, rather than put it on Google, because that is the kind of thing that I appreciate. Like, you know, you can't get it right 100% of the time. There's going to be something. You can't please everybody. And so, like, if I go somewhere and I have that sort of like, oh, I could, you know, that I could see that being an issue for you and your business, and not in a condescending way or anything like that. It's just genuinely helpful. Like, we find it helpful as a business if people feed back to us. And it really makes a big difference, because, like you say, you put so much effort into something. Yeah. Like, it's nice. And then to give that back is super important. Yeah. I think it's just a nice habit to get into, really.
Exactly. And I'm so about like passing kindness forward in a way. And it's like, even just starting your day and sharing just a little kind comment to someone, like, you just know, or you hope it's going to come back. And like, I'm very much, and I think you probably are as well, like very much a glass half full kind of person.
Yeah, try to be.
So again, I think social media, if you are naturally also like a glass half empty kind of person, and maybe you always are seeking for negative comments, or you're already on a bit of a downer, then social media isn't great for a lot of people. But I think, I always try and look at things with like a positive mindset, and
and then connect with the people that do the same thing and pay it forward.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I just think that's, it's just such a nice way to be, and I wish everyone could be like that.
I know. I do too.
So nice.
I do too. But that's the thing, the more you act like that, you kind of, in telling the algorithms, I want other people like that. So naturally you kind of weed out any of these other people.
That's such an interesting thing. I never thought about that, really. But I guess, I know there's like a really cheesy saying, but it's like, is it your vibe attracts your tribe?
Yeah, I'm saying it.
It's so corny, but it's so true, I guess. Yeah. Like, and then I look around and I'm like, it's my tribe.
Yeah. Where's my tribe?
Where's my tribe? But it's true. And I think, it's a really nice way to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it that really drives you to create this content then? Like, you know, like the value adding and sharing. What is it that you, when you were working, doing hair, that you're like, what was there a moment you're like, right, this is why I need to do this?
Yeah. So I guess, because briefly going back to my hair journey, so I worked in a salon. I very much quickly, I love doing hair and being creative, but I quickly knew that wasn't for me, as in working in a salon, being behind a chair, doing a column. I always knew, I was like, I need this exciting other world. Yeah. And like, I just looked at magazines. I was like, but who does the hair for like magazines? Because that must be someone's job.
Yeah.
Who does the hair for the people on TV? That must be someone's job. And I kind of I was like, I need that kind of area of hairdressing. And I just knew I needed to be outside of the salon. Also just kind of like starting at 9, finish at late nights, and to every day feeling quite repetitive.
Yeah, it's a slog.
Doesn't suit me and just my creativity and just how I want to work and how I kind of saw my job for the rest of my life. So I knew I needed to be out of the salon. So then I went into education. one of like and it was actually GHD, one of the educators came into the salon. She was so happy and so bubbly, and like her job was just driving to the different salons and teaching hairdressers how to do cool techniques and about the products and things like that. Straight away I was like, that's my next step. I think that's my next step, to get out of the salon and being a bit more me. I just felt like I was like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I was like, I need to be more me and just creative and chatting to people and just out of the salon. So
and that just kind of happened, and it was like you saw enlightenment. And then did you just like, you know, apply? Did you find a role, or how did that come about? Like you going into work with PhD?
So the first thing I did was manage to get on the Style Squad, which is like a young art team, and I'd always recommend for any field, whether it's, I guess, photography, makeup, any creative field, like there's always going to be some kind of young art team out there.
Yeah.
And I always say to young people, like, get on that, because it's just getting your foot in the door
and honing skills, right?
Exactly. Like your skill set just goes up massively. They invest all of this time and skill set and energy into you, and it's like they're gonna want to use you after they've upskilled you. I guess that's the whole point.
Oh, yeah.
So then I managed to stay on with GHD, become a freelance educator for them. So I was going in all the different salons, and eventually then I managed to get a job with them full time. So I was always then in this kind of education background. So that has always then lent well with what I do, and it makes sense what I do essentially.
It makes so much sense
teach
now.
Hair on social media, but all throughout my hairdressing career, I was really an educator and I taught, and that I fell into that kind of background.
Yeah. And now you've got a bigger platform to share it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like though the shift now for you is, rather than talking to hairdressers, you talk more to like end consumers, right?
Yeah.
So and that's kind of like, I suppose it's more of an audience, and you know, hairdressers can do their own hair for the most part. Yeah. So it's quite nice to take that professional advice and give it to consumer, and that's what I love doing. Like it's really nice to share those tips.
I love that, and I think the shift for that that was definitely, I can pinpoint the exact moment. It was like 2018, and obviously your influencers were huge, like fashion influencers, lifestyle, and it was brands were only working with those influencers, and it was just so different to how it is now. I just think you were either an influencer or you weren't.
Yeah.
And you could only really share videos or things like that. Or actually, videos weren't a massive thing. They'd only really just started. But
it was sharing videos was only YouTube, really, right? Wasn't it? It was
exactly.
images.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, it was very much thought. I mean, that's how I thought anyway. Just quite small-minded. I did think quite small-minded, and it was like, you can only share if you're kind of qualified enough to share, if you are already an influencer, which is crazy because, like, well, they've all got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
they've all got to be just a normal person one day. Yeah. But so this one particular brand, I can't actually remember the brand at all, but they'd paid this influencer to endorse this product, do these curls. And honestly, absolutely no shade to this influencer, because I genuinely can't remember who it is now. I just remember the hair, and the hair was so bad. And I just like went on this rant to my boyfriend. I was like, look at this hair. Like this is an advert. They've paid the girl to do this. Like the ends are all horrible. And it was promoting a product. And I just could not understand. And almost like a bit upset and disappointed in just the marketing industry in that point, because of how many years we go through as hairstylists. Makeup artists, I'm sure they went through the exact same thing of like getting frustrated. Like we have all of this years of skill set. Why are brands not working with the best people to get the best results and to promote these products?
Yeah.
And so I had this big long rant to my boyfriend, and he was like, you should be doing it. I don't know why you're not doing it already. And I was like, it took me a while just to click, and I was like, why would I do it? But then I started thinking, and I searched online. Actually, no one was doing it in that field. So no one that I knew of at the time. I don't want to sit here and say I was the first person to do it, but
it's true.
That I knew of when I searched, and I did a lot of research about it, but kind of a professional with all of this skill set.
Yeah, sharing.
Specifically then talking to consumers, and we see it now, and it's changed so much, especially in the last 2 years, I'd say, because now there is so much information online, but so going back to say like, definitely. But going back to 2018, consumers didn't have any information really about hair or styling hair, and they go to the salon for haircuts and hair colours.
And what do you do?
And I know this because we've spoken to like kind of clients about it, but they they don't think, or maybe they feel like that's not the right time and place whilst they're getting their highlights done to be like, I would love to know how to do a sleek ponytail, or I would love to know, can you kind of educate me on heat protectors, and I don't know what's the difference between that one and that one. So they had all these unanswered questions. They had nowhere to kind of go to ask them, or no one was really answering them.
Yeah.
And I just saw that gap, and I was like, I feel like I'm the perfect person to do that. Yeah, so I just started there. Yeah.
It's so good. It's the niche that you, like we were talking about earlier. Like, that is, you pinpoint that gap, you niche in, and then the rest is history, really, in a sense. Like, I feel like you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about brands working with, you know, people that perhaps don't understand or aren't as skilled in doing hair, because that is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, I honestly, I'm scrolling Instagram and I watch all these like hair up things because I'm just like, what is going on? They suck me in. Obviously, they've got a hook, and I'm like, oh, what's she doing? Yeah. And then I'm watching the views go up in the comments, like, this is amazing. I'm thinking, as soon as she walks out the door, that is not that.
Yeah.
Like, that is not lasting. And like, it's that misinformation. And like, people, I don't know why they don't feel this need to be responsible. I mean, grateful now that actually things are regulated and you have to put ad or things in so people know more that it is an ad, because before, when that wasn't, it was like the wild, wild west.
It's a wild place out there, yeah.
It was bizarre. So, but anyway, yeah, I feel like I'm totally on your page, because that is kind of but exactly why I started sharing consumer-focused things. Like, it was...
Because that's it. You would have also heard from your own clients that there was, that was missing online, or just missing in general is missing, where people just could just get these questions answered. But I tell you what, a recent marketing campaign that I love, and I tell you, I really look into marketing campaigns now because of where I've worked and kind of the things I get. It's essentially is marketing, and I'm so clued up with things like that, which is really cool. But I'm so glad I've kind of got that skill set.
Yeah, no, it's about upskilling.
Yeah,
I know that.
But I looked at it was The Ordinary. So, you know, the skincare.
Yeah.
And they had this billboard, and it said I'm going to completely misquote this. Off the top of my head. But it said something along the lines of, we didn't partner with like a fancy influencer for this campaign because there aren't currently any like scientific skincare like influencers, like one who works in a lab, who is like scientifically knows about skin, the layers of skin, and who also happens to be like a social media person with loads of followers. Exactly. And I was like, I love that, because it is so true. And it is, you do kind of get fed up with scrolling and seeing these ads, and it's like, you literally pick that person because they are gorgeous. They've got great skin, great hair, naturally anyway. Yeah. And of course they've got a gazillion followers. Yeah. But I can't help but look at things now and I'm like, that wasn't such an inauthentic match.
No, it's true. I feel like I'm always triggered when someone's got a brand new pot of something, and I'm like, if that was really what you've been using for 6 months, that would be empty. Yeah. And like, there would be an empty and this is a refill. So like, we know that's content, and people show, I love when people show me their empties. Like, and stuff like that. I want to see what you've actually been using. Like, I want to know what's in your bathroom. Like, that's the things that I want to know. And I think when brands align with those marketing objectives and that sort of like way of thinking about things, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to buy that. So add to cart.
Yeah, it's so true. And like, there's still, I love the industry because there's still so much to learn and to evolve and to grow, and even just for brands, for example, now. So kind of how it works I'm sure pretty much everyone knows, but you will get gifted a lot of products. Yeah. To kind of try them out. And I guess then that brand hopes that you share it on your social media and things like that. But oh my God, the amount of times, it might even only be a few days, it might be literally, it's usually a week after, then these brands are normally emailing, it's like, hey, have you tried the product yet? Would love to know your thoughts. And it's like, give me a second. Like, for a start, it's probably still sat in the box if it's only a week later, because of like everything else we've got going on that week. Like, you're not going to instantly start opening a product. I'm so big also on completely finishing up a product. Yeah. It makes absolutely no sense to keep dipping out on all of these different products, because you're never going to see the benefits of them, or if something changes, what was that one
application really?
Exactly.
Are you going to get a real comprehensive look at what it's doing?
Yeah. So like, I completely understand brands, they're trying to follow up and they're making sure, especially if it was an expensive product that they've gifted you, they want to make sure that they're kind of seeing you talk about it. But it's like, please, can you give people a little bit more time. So you can actually give your authentic feedback and say, do you know what, I've used this for even 30 days. I've used it for a whole month now. This is fantastic.
Yeah. That's it. Do you find that when that happens, that then you would approach a brand and be like, right, I know you sent me this and I love it and I'd love to work with you, rather than featuring them for free on your channel? Would you try and, like, you know, think about how you can then work with the brand? Because again, that is, you know, a mention, and like, it is work. Like, I feel like a lot of brands send people things for free thinking, you know, that's enough to get content, but actually what goes into making things.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like brands, they need to pay a little bit for that kind of thing. Is that kind of like your mindset with that?
Yeah, what I do, I think, especially when I love a product, I'm very open to putting it on my videos and saying, I've used this, it is so great. And I guess that's how kind of influencing started. It is just sharing things that are great, and you it's so great, you really want to spread that and make sure so many people know about this as well. So I organically share so many products that I just love. I think they're great. I feel like people should be using them. And it just goes back to being a hairstylist, isn't it? Like, you're sitting in the chair, someone's in your chair, and you're like, you need this hairspray. Like, it's just, we would always recommend products, wouldn't we?
I hope they would. Like, a lot of us do. Some of my team, I'm a bit like, guys, don't forget your aftercare.
But I think that's just programmed in us. So I organically share a lot of things, but especially when it's a brand that I love and I've maybe organically talked about them a couple times, definitely they notice. All the brands notice. And I guess that's, again, I know this just from sitting on the other side and being in the boardroom, like, they'll pull up your face, they'll pull up all these creators' faces, and it's like, so-and-so talked about this, they said this, so they do know.
Yeah.
And after I've kind of mentioned them a couple times, and especially if I love that product, but not only that, I look at the brand, the branding, and I'm like, if it aligns with me, then I want to work with them, then I'll definitely send an email. But it's probably already come the other way.
Yeah, fine.
How they've seen, I've already organically talked about them a couple of times. Usually they will always email me and, do you know what, we'd love to work together. And it's so organic.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy and pleased to say that all the brands I work with, they are brands that I had used organically, talked about them, said I loved them, and then it's kind of gone in that direction, which is I'm really lucky to be able to say that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, sometimes that's not the case, is it? And like, you know, like, there's a lot of creators out there that struggle and things. I think maybe ones that don't have such a niche or aren't in such a big industry with so much choice like what we have as hairdressers in the hair world. And I feel like that can sometimes be a struggle for people, for small creators as well, where they just grab and they do anything, and you're just like,
that's it. I think it's when you don't have a niche, because then anything that comes through the door you might say yes to, whether it's skincare, whether it's then fashion, whether it's naturally, because I am hair care and hairstyling. I guess all the brands, also the brands that do like my content and want to work with me, they also know they're up against, it's quite a small pond, really.
It is.
So
like,
being in a niche
one
benefits you.
I completely agree. I think niching down is like chef's kiss to like doing that. And like, you built such a huge like a business out of this now. Like,
it is great.
I mean, we won business awards.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, like that.
We silly little girls.
Yeah,
we both won business awards.
I mean,
this year.
What was that like?
What, winning?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I was
business newcomer, wasn't it? The Creative Head Awards.
Yeah, it was business builder.
Business builder. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I was not expecting it at all. I was so excited and so happy. I was definitely not expecting it, and only because I have been to these awards. So these awards that we're talking about, they're like
industry,
big hairdressing industry.
I think the Creative Head ones are probably like anybody else listening might not agree, but I think they're one of the biggest.
I was going to say one of the biggest for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'd say we have.
There's the BHBAs, the British Hairdressing Awards, the Creative Head Awards, the fellowship. There's a few.
We have only have a handful of big ones, but like this was one of the big ones. Like, a good few hundred people go to this.
These are the ones that you dream about winning, right? Like taking home a most wanted award.
Well, exactly.
Award. Yeah.
And so because I used to work for GHD and they're a big sponsor of the show,
all of it.
I have been to these awards for, I'd say, the previous 4 years. I've been as a guest and I was like working on the show behind the scenes, but I've always been in that position. I could obviously never enter because I worked for a company, I was employed, they were the sponsor. But I always looked at everyone who entered, and with that kind of a little bit of envy, it's like, I really want to do that.
Yeah.
And this, since I've obviously been solo and been running my own business, I was like, 100% I need to go for it. But because it's my first ever time entering, I just did not think it would go in my favour like that. But I was so excited and so happy, and definitely not expecting it at all.
It's mad, isn't it? I know
So
exactly what
happy.
it was. I know exactly what you think. But exactly that, because you watch the same people win, or you think, like, you know, I can't do that. And then when you enter and then they call your name, like, do you remember going up on stage and giving your, like, acceptance speech?
Oh my, it was all a blur. Like, I remember at the time I was, you just mentally, you're like, oh.
I didn't remember it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember them calling, because so you were, your business, what was your business one called?
Business builder.
So yeah, you were business builder.
Yeah.
And I was business thinker.
Yeah.
And I remember them calling my name.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I don't remember until I was back at the table and Clark was like, "You've done it." And I was like, "What?" And he recorded the speech that I made, because I couldn't remember it. I thought I'd gone off on a loose tangent. Because
I went off on a tangent for sure. Like, it's so hard. You're up there and, like, all you're just thinking is, oh my God, I've won. I just can't believe it. And you're looking at all these people and just thinking, oh my God, I need to say something quite good right now. It is so hard.
It's so hard. I just remember like just spitting out like words about. I don't even know. But
I know what you said. You said
like,
lead with kindness is one of definitely.
Yeah, I think being like empathetic. Yeah. I'm glad that I said that, but again, I don't remember it. It was so weird. But what I did love is how many women took home awards, and like those two girls to get the business awards from there. It was like, for me, it was a mic drop moment.
Well, this is why I was so not expecting it, because in my particular category, and actually, I can't remember off the top of my head who else was in your cat. Were you also were you another?
I think there was one other girl in mine, another woman. There was, but the rest were guys.
Generally, going past years, it's quite a male-dominated category, the business one. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But even for my year, so it was all males that I was against. So I was the only female, which I quite enjoyed. I was like, bring on the challenge, But the one thing that really worried me a bit, they all had bricks and mortar businesses. So they all had salons.
Yeah.
Every single one, and that was their business. So they obviously had very different business statistics to me, analytics. They would have had. It would have been crazily different.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was going in as such a different business. My business is like, it is an online business. Yeah. It's like online marketing.
Building a business.
Yeah. And it's like the first time, I guess, someone had entered that award with this kind of, I guess it's kind of like a new career.
It is a new career.
I found myself in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just didn't know how that was going to go down, and I guess you never know what the judges are going to think of that, because
it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I also don't want anyone to ever think that I'm trying to completely take away from like traditional hairdressing. I'm such
I don't think that. I don't know how anyone could ever think that. I think what you do demonstrates that there's an evolution in the industry.
Yeah,
and like there's progression.
Yeah.
And people are looking to other avenues in which they can, you know, excel in the industry. Yeah. And it isn't just bricks and mortar. Yeah. And honestly, as a salon owner, the bricks and mortar stores, they are a lot to do. And like, you know, it's you need to have other avenues to do it. I mean, if it was just the salons for me, it wouldn't be enough for me. I think, you know, evolving it and adding on all these sort of extra career options it's incredible, and it's so nice to see the industry recognize you for that, because you know, it's inspiring for like the next generation of people coming through.
But you know, I'm so glad you said that, because that's something I'm so passionate about, and almost going back to what you were saying earlier, how the rate of apprenticeships has drastically dropped. So something that I do quite often, and again, it's just training providers who've reached out to me literally via Instagram DM. They've seen what I've done, whether it's from like winning awards or when I've been at Salon International before. Maybe they've just literally found me on social media. Yeah. But I'm doing talks now with quite a few training providers with their classes. So it's their classes of like MVQ. They're probably MVQ level 2 or 3. Yeah. Most of them are 2. So they've decided they're going into hairdressing, and they're in that early stage. But yeah, I guess they've brought someone in like me to show the students how much the industry's evolved. And very much like when I was young and starting out, just because you say you're doing hair and you want to be a hairstylist doesn't mean you need to be in a salon with a column doing clients. Like, it's evolved so much. So yeah, I give talks to young apprentices. I answer all of their questions they want.
Or record one of those and put that.
Yeah,
that'd be so interesting, and like find out what their reactions is to things.
Yeah,
that'd be
I mean,
amazing.
their reactions have been so lovely after I've given. It's so funny, like, especially when you're young, you never really kind of openly ask a question, but afterwards, the amount of DMs I've got afterwards is always so lovely, and it's like, I'm so glad I can give my time to do things like that, because I love to hopefully inspire a younger generation, only because hairdressing and the hair industry has changed so much within even the last 10 years.
I would say since COVID, honestly.
Yeah.
Like the worth of hairdressers has been realised, for one, since COVID. You know, everyone was crying out for us. And that has sort of really stuck. And I think that has really, you know, given hairdressers that boost of confidence to know, you know what, we are actually an important part of society and the industry, and what we do for people isn't just cutting hair. We're like, what the feelings that we can create for people, and how we, you know, make them, like the way they leave the salon bouncing out the door, like it is amazing. And I think that has been really realised and is shifting more.
A really great podcast I listened to only recently was with the CEO of the British Beauty Council.
Oh yeah,
so you need to listen to it. It's so interesting. Or for anyone else listening, go and listen to it. It was well, I'm sure we can link it in there. We can link it down below, because I can't remember. I figure it out where she was kind of talking on this podcast. But she literally spoke about how, especially in the lockdown, it was so interesting. Hairdressing and the beauty industry got overlooked completely, and for how many billions of pounds the beauty and hair industry brings into the UK economy, they never gave the hairstylist the green light to to close to start with. So all these salons were like,
choose when to
and also never to open. Like, we were so overlooked, and it's that I'm so glad in a way. Yeah, we had that shift in our society, especially here in the UK. There was a big shift where it was like, no, we are such a big part of society, and so many people rely so much on their hairstylist, like even just for mental health reasons, like going and seeing your hairstylist is like, it makes people feel so much better about themselves.
It's true.
But yeah, just the value, like you say, that hairstylists have gone up is astronomical within the last couple of years.
Right, it's amazing. I think as well, people overlook how important to the high street a hair salon is. Yeah, when you look down a high street, the hair salons are prevalent. They're like everywhere. Yeah, and like one of the things that was overlooked after COVID is we didn't get VAT relief or anything like that. It was actually crazy. Like all the restaurants were getting all these different things, and it was like the hairdressers who were like, you know, really struggling, couldn't do anything. It was just, nah, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
you're like,
just so overlooked.
Rude. Yeah, but anyway, those that made it through, because there was a lot. I think it was like 10% that didn't make it through. It was wild.
It's so sad.
But
yeah, we are seeing the industry massively evolve, which I'm really excited about.
Me too. And so what is next for Chloe Swift?
What is next? Lots of exciting things. But yeah, I'm just continuing working with the brands that I love and I'm truly, really passionate about. So I'm really thankful for that. I really hope to travel more. I love getting to travel with work. And honestly, the thing that's blown my mind with, especially what I do now, the trips that come up are so unexpected and so random.
I think.
Yeah, exactly. I was on a hot air balloon the other week. The trips are so random, and it's like, but I'm loving it. Like I went to Budapest as well, with a hair brand, and honestly, like the world is your oyster. So yeah, definitely traveling more with work and like fun trips like that. And the main thing I want to do personally is just continue growing my socials. I don't think I'll ever get bored or get to the point where I'm like, that's enough. Like I'm always, once I've built one brick, I'm like, right, what's the next? What's the next? I'm always building. So I'm like, yeah, I guess my next goal for kind of numbers wise, I would love to get to 500k per platform. Yeah. On my top 3. So I'm manifest that. YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, that would be my next goal. And yeah, I'm literally just loving it, and I'm loving continuing learning and evolving along the way in like this new career, I guess. You know?
God, I literally love it. I love watching you grow, and I love that. I've never met anyone that's so consistent with it. And this is what I try and drill into my team, because obviously you have to be consistent. And I'm like, look at Chloe. Like
I'm so consistent.
It's inspiring. Like it's really amazing. And I suppose the last sort of thing to ask is like, what advice would you give to any aspiring silly little girls out there that, you know, want to get into what you do and sort of explore that as a career option?
I mean, literally stay consistent. One of the best bits of advice that I heard someone say, again, I can't quote, I'm really bad at quoting who these things have come from, but it's like, I know exactly the quote, but it's, you need to treat something as if it's your job way before it is your job. And that's exactly what I did with social media, and I still do now. I mean, it is my job, but way before it was my job, I was like, right now I need to wake up at this time because I need to shoot a video by this day because it needs to be edited and out by this day.
Right.
And even if it is a side gig, which everyone, if you're trying to build your social, it's going to be on the side as well as your full-time job, but you need to treat that as a job. Factor in your hours, put the hours in, and be analytical with it. You need to draw up all your analytics, whether it's the hours you're working, your performance, things like that. And so long as you're doing that and treating it properly, then honestly, you're gonna see growth. And just stay excited with it as well. And
I love that. Oh my God, amazing. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being my very first ever Silly Little Girl guest.
While I have you, it would really help me out if you could just hit follow or subscribe, depending on which platform you're getting your podcast from, and I can keep bringing you these amazing conversations with these incredible guests. And I will see you next week on the Silly Little Girls Club.